The parliament is in Aden preparing to vote in the new Presidential Leadership Council. Hans Grunberg discusses with the head of Presidential Council Rashad Al-Alimi, consolidating and extending the truce. On the World Heritage Day, Yemeni's monuments and sites are at risk because of the war. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Shazza Abdelbei. Yemeni parliament is expected to be in Aden to vote in the Presidential Council. The Presidential Leadership Council will be sworn in before the parliament, which will have a confidence vote by the parliament. And to that end, the presidency of the House of Representatives and heads of parliamentary blocks held a meeting in southern city of Aden, headed by Parliament Speaker Sultan Al-Barakani, to stand up to the latest developments in the country. UN envoy Hans Grunberg met in Riyadh with the head of the Presidential Leadership Council, Rashad Al-Alimi. They discussed the implementation of the truce agreement. They also agreed on the importance of building on the truce towards reaching negotiated political solution to the conflict. In a major political shakeup to end the conflict in Yemen, the former President Hadi transferred power to a new presidential council. The Yemeni officials started to return back to the interim capital Aden to steer the country with hopes that peace is going to be achieved. This report has more details.
Days after handing over power to a new presidential leadership council, the Yemeni officials started to flock again to their homeland. Several Yemeni lawmakers, ministers and members of the Shura Council arrived in the interim capital Aden ahead of the arrival of the new PLC to the city. The council and the government are said to be sworn in the city, capping the transition of power from former President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi. In 2020, the Iran-backed Houthi militia launched a ballistic missile attack against the then newly government as it was arriving at Aden airport. Several people were killed and wounded in the assault. In his first remarks to the press since his appointment, PLC head Rashad Al-Alimi expressed his confidence that the national efforts and unity will succeed in translating into action the outcomes of the intra-Yemeni consultations that were held in Riyadh earlier this month. The council is seeking the highest level of consensus among Yemenis, given the challenges facing their country. The PLC will work at the aim of restoring the state and to aid the suffering of people. The PLC stressed that achieving economic stability and easing humanitarian suffering are its top priorities. Houthi intentions, however, remain unclear. The rebels continue to violate the announced truce, although there has been some optimism that the truce may be extended and serve as a prelude to a return to the negotiating table. Having suffered setbacks in their military operations in Shabwa and Ma'rib governorates in the first few months of this year, the Houthis may see this period as an opportunity to regroup for a new round of fighting, saying that the new Yemeni authority will face a lot of challenges, the most difficult of which is fighting back the Houthi rebellion.
In a meeting with Yemeni Foreign Minister Ahmed bin Mubarak, the United Nations Special Envoy to Yemen Hans Grunberg affirmed his engagement with all parties to establish the truce in Yemen. The meeting between Grunberg and bin Mubarak discussed also opening roads to Taiz, as it serves a humanitarian demand for millions of people. Since the UN envoy announced the 2-month truce, Houthi militia did not wait longer to violate it, perhaps in the very day of announcement. Such violations have been recorded in different areas, including Taiz. This report has more details.
The Houthi rebels have been trying to enter the center of the western city of Taiz, but have repeatedly failed. In consequence, heavy fighting between government troops and Houthi militia has broken out in Taiz during the last period. Government troops intensified attacks on Iran-backed Houthis, occupying the western and eastern edges of the city, after the militia stepped up mortar fire on residential areas in the city's downtown. After failing to storm the center of Taiz since 2015, the Houthis have positioned themselves on the city's outskirts, targeting densely populated areas with heavy weapons. Essential food and humanitarian supplies have also been blocked from reaching the besieged population. The Houthi siege has forced residents to use rough and dangerous mountain routes to leave or enter the city. Taiz overlooks Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the international waterway which connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. The city, however, suffers from economic, social, and educational negligence. Economic decline has driven citizens to protest the absence of basic commodities, while the shops are almost empty. Taiz roads are closed after sunset, and a line of fire is formed instead. If travelers are late, they are forced to go through an even more rugged and dangerous roads.
The Houthi militia continued its violations of the UN-brokered truce on the western coast for the fifth consecutive day. The military media of the joint forces said it monitored 17 violations of the truce committed by the Houthi militia yesterday on the fighting fronts south of Hodeidah and west of Taiz. A human rights organization revealed that the terrorist Houthi militia committed thousands of crimes against civilians in a village in Taiz. The Human Rights Commission said it documented 9,760 violations against civilians in a village of Ash-Shaqab, south of Taiz, during period from September 2015 to end of March this year. Military sources said Houthi militia targeted sites located between Al-Baida and Abyan. The source stated that Houthi militia targeted various sites on Al-Thara front with various types of weapons. World Heritage Day is also known as International Monuments and Sites Day. The day is all about increasing the awareness of the importance of diversity of cultural heritage and protecting it for generations in the future. Yemen's heritage, however, has been destroyed due to the conflict. This report has more details.
Every year, people all over the world celebrate their cultural heritage, simply by living their lives in a way that embodies who they are and where they came from. One day a year is set aside to celebrate the joint history and heritage of the human race. World Heritage Day comes every year on the 18th of April to encourage the humanity to be proud of its roots, to bring awareness to important cultural monuments and sites, and most importantly, to espouse the importance of preserving the world's cultures. However, in war-torn Yemen, people have little to celebrate and be proud of debris which remained from their cultural monuments and historical sites after losing control of the capital Sana'a to Yemen's northern. The Houthi movement has destroyed Yemeni heritage, which was prolonged for thousands of years. The conflict in Yemen has waged on Yemeni victims a lot, and most importantly, the silent victim, which is Yemen's millennia-old cultural heritage. Yemen is one of the richest countries in the region when it comes to natural, cultural, historical, and architectural heritage. Amid the absence of officials' intervention and lack of awareness of the importance of antiquities and their preservation, these antiquities remain suffering from extinction and collapse And this is what the situation for dozens of ancient monuments, historical buildings, and museums that have been systematically targeted and destroyed in an unprecedented act of cultural warfare. As the war has devastated every single field in the country, the cultural sector also has been dramatically affected by the prolonged conflict, resulting in higher unemployment rates, especially for youth, and severe scarcity of cultural programming. The situation has even exacerbated by the long-term lack of maintenance, weak governance of heritage properties, and scarcity of technical and financial resources. The country's cultural and historical heritage has been ravaged despite repetitive calls by UNESCO to all fighting parties to do their utmost to protect Yemeni's unique heritage. Nations are recognized by their cultural heritage, and undoubtedly Yemen has a rich heritage that extends to 1,200 years ago. However, the state of monuments in Yemen confronts devastation, and it is expected to diminish the Yemeni inheritance unless the concerned authorities intervene and end the vandalism actions.
Coming next, As-Saleh Charity Foundation launches cash assistance project for displaced and needy people in different governorates. Welcome back. As-Saleh Charity Foundation announced the launch of its cash assistance project in different governorates. The project targets more than 5,000 families, mostly in displaced camps in Ma'rib and other areas. As-Saleh Charity Foundation targets the displaced people and the poor families who have been crushed by the war. The concerned committees prepare the lists for the targeted families to start the process of paying assistance in a fair manner.
دعوتنا الليلة لحضوركم هو تدشين مكرمة مؤسسة الصالح الخيرية.
The aim of this meeting today is to announce the start of the cash assistance project of As-Saleh Charity Foundation in Ma'rib. The project will target 5,000 displaced families. Each family will receive 30,000 riyals. There are 12 districts within the city of Ma'rib. Each district includes from 7 to 20,000 displaced people. Ma'rib needs our help as it has sacrificed a lot for us. So, this cash assistance by As-Saleh Charity Foundation comes as a reward for this resilient governorate.
In Taz, the Culture House celebrates Ramadan by organizing Ramadan social events. This report has more details.
The Taz Ramadan nightly festivities have commenced, entering their second week amid a great turnout for citizens and families who hope to revive the Ramadan rituals they were deprived of in light of the war and the siege imposed on the city. The festival is run under the slogan, "We stand together to save the country."
The Culture Office hosts the second consecutive week of Ramadan nightly festivities. With a great turnout, and the audience was fantastic. The message behind our event is vital and patriotic, and as the banner states, the Presidential Council stands in support with the people to save Yemen.
Ramadan songs fill the atmosphere, and many families and citizens flock to the Taiz Tourist Club to revel in the festivities provided to them with the support of the Presidential Leadership Council. The event generously hosts competitions, prizes, activities, and a chance for people's spirits to rejoice.
Here, Taiz is able to breathe through its siege, and the people are able to experience joy despite 7 years of blockade. Citizens gather, old and young alike, to celebrate Ramadan. The Culture Office has brought joy back to the people.
During the Ramadan evenings in Taiz, Yemen Today's camera captured moments of delight shared by children and their families. These children were born amid the sound of guns and shells, but now they cheer for peace.
Today, my brothers and I celebrate Ramadan nights in Taiz Tourist Club. We challenge the war and the siege.
Beautiful artwork floods the events with the message that justice will prevail and Taiz will triumph over the hardships it has faced.
In Aden, I Have Hope is an initiative that was launched to provide breakfast meals for the orphan children in the city. This report has more details.
One of the valuable manifestations whose impact is enhanced during the blessed month of Ramadan, particularly in Aden, is social solidarity, one of the charitable deeds that grow and expand with the days of the holy month. Therefore, Andi Amal, a humanity initiative, played a prominent role in reviving these values. This was embodied in the launch of a group iftar event for orphans and people of determination.
Today, we held this event for the benefit of the Safe Childhood Center, the place from which the I Have Hope initiative was launched. It was one of its first projects, with a message to deliver not in this center only, but everywhere else. The seed of giving has been planted in our hearts so we can revive generations after generations. We're just a group of individuals having the same goal and message, which is creating happiness and joy and forming a better society.
Proceeding from the principle of our religion, and as our Honorable Prophet Muhammad recommended, we need to take care of orphans. Today, Andi Amal initiative is here in the Safe Childhood Center in Al Mualla. It is the first iftar table targeting the orphanage and all centers for people of determination. Today we carried out humanitarian and charitable work in the center. Andi Amal team implemented this initiative so that orphans feel that we support them and we are always there for them, no matter how long it takes.
A charitable humanitarian event that targeted the Center for Safe Childhood, like other centers within its charitable project Fasting Iftar. The initiative is very effective. It included many activities of interest to the orphans segment, showing their talents and giving them time to play their favorite games. The turnout of humanitarian initiatives to the Ramadan charitable work is a wonderful positive image to embody the values of charity and kindness to orphans and draw a smile on their lips, especially in the month of Ramadan, the month of mercy, forgiveness, and freedom.
A human rights report revealed that the Houthi militia kidnapped 7,823, including 158 women, during 6 years. A joint statement issued by the Association of Mothers of Abductees said 1,478 were subjected to torture in Houthi prisons, of whom 92 civilians died under torture. Al-Mahra Governorate received the 8th batch of the oil derivatives grant provided by Saudi Arabia. The new batch will help in the operation of electricity stations in the governorate with more than 5,000 tons of diesel. Here is a reminder of the main headlines. The Parliament is in Aden preparing to vote in the new Presidential Leadership Council. Hans Grunberg discusses with the head of Presidential Council Rashad Al-Alimi, consolidating and extending the truce. On the World Heritage Day, Yemen's monuments and sites are at risk because of the war. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.